What up, internet? It's Tega with the Tech, and welcome to another First Impressions video. Today's game is the Division 2. I got my hands on it this past weekend, and I just want to share my initial thoughts on how the game feels overall and what can keep me invested in playing this game for the long run. Now, just to let people know, this is a First Impressions video, not a review. You cannot review a game that's not even out yet. I find that so ridiculous, but that topic is for another day. Let's just talk about the Division 2 and how I feel about it. Now, just to let everybody know, I didn't buy the first Division. I played it, but I didn't buy it for myself. And that's partly because everybody was complaining about the end game when it first initially launched. So for people who completed the story mode and all the other activities, they were saying that enemies were bullet sponges. I know over on PC it was like plagued by hackers. It felt grindy, and people just dropped the game and never picked it back up. But you know, after the update came out, they completely revamped the loot, the character progression, all that good stuff, and it kind of made people want to get back into it, and it shaped out into a fairly good game. And that's kind of where I played it at, so I kind of missed out on that entire wave of when it first came out. So I really hope that they take what they learned from the first game and just apply it to the second. Now, with my hands on the game, it felt really good and pretty much similar. So I just kind of feel like, you know, don't fix what's broken. So I wasn't looking for a super innovative new way to play the Division. It's a looter shooter, and that's what I want to play it as. I played the beta on PC, but I've also talked to people who played it on PS4. Now, on my side of things, I didn't really deal with any major complications. Like, the guns felt really good, meaning that they don't feel too floaty or inaccurate or anything of that nature. They pretty much do what they're supposed to do. Now, you can't really judge off of, you know, my opinion. You just really have to pick up the sticks and feel for yourself what I'm talking about. And most people who play games like this know what I mean anyway. The only real bug that kind of picked up on my radar was the audio. Now, at times I'll shoot, but the gun sound would never come out. So you can kind of just see the motion of me shooting, but you would never hear the sound. And it didn't really happen too much. I would probably say I played the game for about 5 or 6 hours on the day of this recording, and I only encountered that maybe 2 or 3 times. But again, it's a beta. You have to assume that this is an earlier build or a build that they're working on before the game comes out. So I'm not holding to that. That's nothing game breaking. That's just kind of something that happens in games sometimes. So this isn't the first time Ubisoft has had audio issues. So I mean, you just gotta take it with a grain of salt. If that's something that kind of irritates you, hopefully it's already dealt with before the game comes out. But that's just on my end. Also, the game crashed once on me, and it was during the opening credit scene when you first opened the beta. So it didn't happen during any gameplay section, so I wasn't really too mad at it. It was just like a minor inconvenience. That could be something due to my PC, or it was just something on their end. But again, nothing really game breaking. That was the only time that it crashed, and other than that, I've had no other problems besides that slight audio issue and then the first initial crash. Everything else is just kind of like minor, or you can just kind of go without seeing. And I'm not mad at that, you know what I'm saying? It ran pretty good for a beta. Now, talking to a few of my friends over on PS4, they said they dealt with some minor texture issues. So, you know, nothing game breaking again. It was just like some low pixelated textures, or it wasn't properly loading in. But other than that, they didn't deal with any crazy issues either. The game ran well. It didn't really drop in frames or anything like that. Just real minor stuff that they can kind of tweak before the game comes out. Now, I don't know anything about the story, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure everybody's in the same boat because, to be honest, nobody's playing for the story. This is a multiplayer game. It's a looter shooter. People tend not to really care about the story at all. And from the cutscenes, they weren't really memorable or nothing like that. They didn't introduce any like major characters. so I don't know how the story goes at all since I didn't put any time in the first division. But all I know is it takes place in Washington, D.C. after the events of the first game. So whatever that means. But I'm pretty sure no one's going to care about the story. It's cool that it's there. It keeps your attention for a little bit until you get to the end game, and you can just kind of pretty much do what you were set out to do anyway. Just pretty much looting for gear and leveling up and just having a good time. I mean, either solo or with your friends. So you can play by yourself with other people in the game, but you don't really have to communicate with them, if you know what I'm saying. So you can pretty much play with randoms. Like throughout my entire playthrough in the beta, I played almost solo with small interactions with other players, like running into them when we respawn or we met up in a similar place. But we pretty much played alone. The game can be completed just like that, in my opinion. I don't know if it's going to stay like that with harder missions throughout the game and the story or anything like that, but I'm pretty much going to be playing with friends. I know I'm going to pick it up for the PS4 because that's just where most of my friends are playing it. I'm really hoping it holds my attention because I was playing Anthem a lot, but after hearing the news about PS4's breaking and even Xbox One now, I'm kind of scared to load it up. Like, I haven't dealt with any major problems with Anthem on my end, but I just don't want to risk it. I've heard too many stories and it's just too many people claiming that the game is broken, and they got a lot of stuff to iron out in this next update to address these issues before I pick it back up and start playing consistently. And the Division 2 is around the corner, so they don't have a lot of time. They may have lost a decent amount of people already, and they're just jumping on board with the Division 2, especially with people refunding the game. So that's just money back in their pocket that they can spend on the Division 2, and they're going to capitalize. There's no way around it. You lost a decent amount of people right now. I'm holding on because I feel like with multiplayer games, with updates and continued support, it can become something great. And I really like the way Anthem feels. But right now, I think I'm gonna have to hop on this Division 2. That's just what it is right now. I'm not gonna talk too much on Anthem because eventually I do want to do a full length review, but I'm not doing it until the game gets updated and it doesn't break my PS4. I kind of like my PS4, so yeah, I'm gonna hold off on that for now. But in the beta, they gave you a few main missions to do and a handful of side missions and some of the in-game portion. And the missions was, it was all right. It was cool. And for the side missions, it was just kind of like a little repetitive, but it wasn't enough for me to go, okay, I'm bored. Let's just cut this off. I literally only stopped playing because it had passed midnight and the beta was about to end. So yeah, I wasn't really bored with the missions. My only thing is I only got maybe 6 to 7 hours on the beta. So some people may feel different, and it's really going to come into play when the full game releases, because if those are the only side missions you can do, it's going to get boring really quick. So I really hope they spice up the side missions in the Division so that way it doesn't go stale really quick, or at least have a decent amount of missions available for people to play. And then with future updates, you can just possibly add even more in to keep people interested, because that's usually like the main problems with looter shooters, is that the missions get repetitive. And I'm really looking forward to that first looter shooter who kind of like breaks that trend. I know people put tons and tons of hours into one game, so some people are just going to be unsatisfied no matter how many missions and variety you throw into a game, because if they're spending all their time on that one game, there's only so much you can do before you have to just play something else or put it down and take a break. And I kind of think that's where some shooters get flack at, because there's a decent amount of games that has lots of content in it. The thing is, people dedicate all their time to that one game. It's kind of like, it's so many good games that comes out, and we're not in a drought right now at all, by far. So those people just really need to find another hobby or play something else and come back to it when something else comes out, or when they can get a break. But some people play these games constantly and they're always going to demand more and more missions. But at least put enough content in the game for someone who plays it semi-hardcore so they can get 100 or so hours out of the game. And then, maybe promise us some future updates that come out with even more content. That's pretty much the only thing that you need to do at this point, because everyone's not going to be satisfied. So you just got to take it with a grain of salt. And that's pretty much my only big gripe about this game. Everything else feels pretty good. My only hope is they have enough content to keep most people satisfied. Can't say all, because that's never possible, especially with games like this. But just try to put enough content in the game to keep people satisfied and make it worth people's purchase. Because some people even bought the gold and even the ultimate edition. Like, I'm picking up the standard because I don't really care about the rest of the other pre-order bonuses or anything like that. But the gold edition is like $100, and I think the ultimate edition is $110. So just make this game worth people's money and don't just throw in a whole bunch of repetitive stuff that people is going to get tired of after 20 or 30 hours. And that's pretty much how I feel about The Division 2. So to clear things up, yes, I will be playing The Division 2. I have a PS4 copy, and I'm looking forward to hopping on it and playing with a few of my friends and just enjoying myself. Spring break's about to come up, so I'm gonna have a whole bunch of time to put some hours into this and to keep y'all updated on how I feel about it. I may even stream it, to be honest, so y'all just let me know if y'all want to see a stream. I will be on Twitch. So to wrap things up, The Division 2 releases March 15th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Sure, y'all know how the internet works. I ain't got to tell y'all. And yeah, I'll see y'all on the next one. We out.